Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are listening to us from around the world. Welcome to our third session. I hope everyone is enjoying fantastic panels and fantastic pitches that we've been watching today. So this session is focused on in-cabin monitoring and data, which is a huge, huge topic, two really huge topics. We have a lot to get to. So I would love to first introduce our panelists, have them each say who they are, their role, where they're from, and as we've been asking for each session, what is your strategy working together with startups? Partner, invest, acquire. So I will pass it along to, how about Yaron? Why don't you start us off, please?
Yeah, great. Hi, Yaron Flint from Continental. Copace is the startup and innovation room of Continental. It was formed 3 years ago to work more closely with startups, and basically we have our own legal and procurement framework to allow us to be more quick and agile, and also our own budget to do POCs. So basically our collaboration with business units is very, very close. We understand their strategy roadmap, their needs. We help them find the right technology that will fill in the gaps, help them build the entire framework and connection, and work all the way through for commercial agreements. So our main focus is naturally on collaboration, but we also have a CVC arm that does the investments in minority stake in startups we see strategy value in. We did 2 investments in Kartika and Anagog last year, and also acquired a company called Algus a few years back.
Thank you, Yaron. And let me pass it to Paula from FCA.
Yes, good afternoon. So my name is Paola Garzonio, and I am in charge of technology scouting within the product development organization globally at Fiat Chrysler Automotive. Just a few words about me. Basically, in the past I had several different roles, always in the automotive fields, in Italy, United States, and in France, with different roles, both in innovation as a global portfolio manager in the United States for 3 years, as a global head of methods and digital tools, and as a system responsible for interior trims for the EMEA region, and in Maserati responsible for cost engineering and value optimization. So now I am in charge of technology scouting. This is a pretty young organization at FCA. I would say that I'm here since 1.5 years, and it's a global organization with the PMs covering the different technology areas, pairing one-to-one, matching one-to-one with the advanced technologies organization, and also as a matrix with different representatives in the different countries where FCA has the different R&D offices. We are focusing mainly on technical aspects and not investment or merger and acquisition. There are other parts of the bigger group that are dealing with this, and we are in contact with them to exchange information, but our goal is just technical. So we want to support FCA strategy in finding cutting-edge technology to support the portfolio of projects of advanced technologies and our technical roadmaps, and to find new partners to engage with. So we put in place a global process. It was not so easy at the beginning because, of course, dealing in particular with startups, this is something that is pretty new for a bigger corporation. We all know that. And of course, we deal with the first selections, the definition of use cases, and also with the phases regarding the proof of concept and the first demonstrator, in order to find opportunities to match startups and the cutting edge technologies with the new innovation projects that at FCA last 1 to 2 years. And of course, the execution of this project is led by the advanced technology leaders in our organization. I am, of course, available for offline discussion and for future networking with my peers and startups. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Paula. Nilesh from Tech Mahindra, please.
Yeah, hi, I'm the Chief Digital Officer for Automotive and Manufacturing at Tech Mahindra. We are part of the Mahindra Group, which is a $20 billion group across the globe. Tech Mahindra, about 4 years back, we also acquired the Italian design house Pininfarina. So Tech Mahindra, along with Pininfarina, we build the concept vehicles, electric vehicle, a lot of work from the engineering point of view. We do in the areas of infotainment, ADAS, classical engineering, and we work with almost all the top global auto OEMs as well as the automotive tier one companies. We work a lot in terms of the current transformation which has been happening in sense of connected car, autonomous, electric vehicle, mobility, sharing. So in that sense, we support all the global OEMs to help them build the, whether it is cars or commercial vehicles, or even in the areas like the tractors, the farm equipment, because a lot of work even happening in the areas of the autonomous for the farm equipment and all that. So basically a good amount of work on engineering. Also a lot of digital technologies on top of it, the likes of 5G, AI, ML, and using all of that, helping with the R&D as well as the Industry 4.0 for the auto and tier one company in this space. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sunil. Sorry, it's Nilesh. So next, Nitsan from Volkswagen.
Hi, my name is Nitsan Avivi. I'm the tech scout in Konnect, the innovation hub of Volkswagen Group in Tel Aviv. Our goal is to find relevant technologies for deployment in the VW Group and brands. We scout for technologies, evaluate them, in some cases test them, and then try and find the right partner within the group or the brands for collaboration. And then we escort that connection all the way up to a project, and hopefully even serial production. And in the 2.5 years since our establishment, we've managed to have 25 POCs, and some of them scaling up to the next level, even commercial agreements.
Okay, thank you very much. Iain from Aptiv.
Yes, thanks, Jason. My name is Iain Levy. I'm the Global Business Unit Director for Interior Sensing at Aptiv. The Interior Sensing division or product line sits under the user experience product line at Aptiv, which is then divided in two between interior sensing and infotainment. I physically sit in Israel, but Aptiv, we don't actually have a presence in Israel. So I am physically sitting here, but I work internationally, or at least pre-COVID internationally and globally. My responsibilities are for the entire interior sensing division, and from P&L responsibility to all pre-development, all advanced development, all the way to production programs. When it comes to startups, we work as Aptiv as a whole, but especially within interior sensing, we work with a number of startups, both internationally and also in Israel. And we work in a number of different business models, whether it's purely just as a partner, exclusivity towards investment, and sometimes actually outright purchase of the company.
Okay, thank you, Iain. Fantastic. So Craig jumped on and joined us. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Craig Conklin, and I am the Business Development Manager at Alpine here in Auburn Hills. I work for the kind of the innovation side of the group, where I also do advanced technical planning, and I'm also the product owner, which means that I define the features both in vehicle and out of vehicle, or I call it the connected world features. Also help drive the development and integration for proof of concepts that will lead to IVI systems and also features that roll into the autonomous vehicles as well. So we do a number of different kinds of activities here. We want to be able to present an Alpine solution to customers that are local and demonstrate that we understand the whole connected vehicle schema as well as the autonomous schema. And so our team is focused on providing these features at a POC level, and then from there, rolling them into production development, supporting that worldwide.
Thank you very much, Craig. It's a really incredible panel we have here today. So I want to get to maybe one or two, maybe three questions we have before the startup pitches. And my first one is related to data and how each of you look at car data. As we all know, it's a huge opportunity, a huge potential revenue source as well. How do you look at the challenges of keeping that secure and private for people who are concerned, but also how do you manage that opportunity? And how do you look at car data? What is your philosophy and how to manage that? So if anybody wants to jump in and begin with that.
Yes, well, car data, I mean, I know Paola from FCI. I worked at FCA and Konnect and Innovation for a group for a while. And the key thing about car data is that, first of all, you want to respect the owners and the drivers' privacy. So a lot of that data should remain in vehicle. And if it comes off vehicle, it should really be anonymous. But that data can be used for a number of things. It can be used for determining latencies in components, and that will reduce the need for recall. If you can identify them ahead of time, in particular when you're doing your testing and stress testing, then you can find out that maybe that left front brake seems to fail at 50,000 miles in our stress testing before we launch the car, and you could work it back to either manufacturing the brake or it could be materials that go into the brake. So this is one way to minimize recall costs, but I think a key thing that both tier ones as well as OEMs are carefully looking at, because it will greatly reduce your overall costs, and it's just a smart way of utilizing the vehicle data that you have access to, especially since the car is connected these days.
All right, thank you, Craig. Any other panelists?
Maybe I can take on. I think GDPR compliance and privacy is a very key factor, specifically when we're talking about two elements like personalization, where Uri touched in the last session, and healthcare, which both are very, very, I would say, concerned about the privacy and how to relay, the end customer's own data, basically. So working your way through it or around it is a very, very key topic. You want to do also the training of the system, but also use it as an edge device to go to OEM. So naturally, we're working on this on a few angles. First of all, looking for companies who kind of do the personalization or help while still being GDPR compliant, like Anagog, which we invested in. But still, we are looking for companies who are enabling us, let's say, to train our system without jeopardizing the privacy of the user.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, Yaron, because we often talk about data privacy and data services, and immediately everyone goes to the end thing of personalization of the vehicles and everything going on in there. But it's important that we take a step back to understand that even the solutions that are in vehicles today, basic driver monitoring, the requirements from the OEM side, especially, and even from perhaps UNECE and NCAP requirements, require a certain amount of testing data that is very hard to get and to maintain within privacy regulations. And so companies that are involved in that and helping to ensure the storage of that data and to ensure that it can be held in a way that maintains those requirements, but also still maintains the authenticity that the data scientists need to actually run their machine learning is really critical.
Great, thank you.
So maybe if I just want to add on this point, from the business perspective, while we started the journey on connected car about 3-4 years back, a lot of expectations were there that, we will generate the data, we will sell the data, there will be data monetization. But unfortunately, if you look at the last, during the 3-4 years with all the major OEMs, while we tried to build, the subscription management, many OEMs thought that they will become like an MVNO, the virtual network operator to connect the car, sell the data, sell various of the use cases and all that. While a lot of features, a lot of functionalities are being built, but I don't think the whole commercial model is really scaled. I mean, it still kind of remained at the pilot kind of a phase and all that. So while many auto companies thought that, no, this will become like a third separate line of business for them to sell the data and monetize, that did not happen much successful, in my opinion. But what has happened is, rather than using the data for the monetization purpose, I think it has created a good business impact in terms of saving the cost perspective. So during the last 2-3 years, what we observed is that the quality of the car, the overall vehicle dependability score, what JD Power measures, has gone up by almost about 4 points. In that process, the cost of warranty, field quality, and the other thing also kind of has gone up. But now the data, from the car is helping most of the OEMs to trace, the field quality, to take it towards the product quality, towards the production quality, take some of the proactive measures in terms of controlling the cost of quality. So this is what is my observation, taking in the past. But if I look at the current and now where we are going ahead, where, the ADAS, autonomous electric vehicle, these use cases are, big time in terms of what currently happening in the industry. There are almost about 50 new vehicle launches, which are being planned in the next 3 years, only in the EV kind of a segment. A lot with, the ADAS and the next generation of the autonomous system. Also, the whole vehicle architecture is changing from the ECU, electronic unit, towards the domain control unit, DCO, and going towards the centralized architecture. So the ADAS data annotation, V2X, these are becoming, I think, the top use cases currently. So the whole focus in terms of, recording of the data, storage of the data, scene management, simulation, training, AI, ML, and then building the various of these ADAS use cases. And in that process, the whole use vehicle architecture, the cloud architecture, and also the 5G coming in, landing into this space. I think these technologies kind of converging together, where the data from ADAS V2X perspective is currently gaining a lot of momentum in the auto industry.
If I can add one word, yes, I completely agree with your vision, and in particular when you mentioned the model of partnership and the business model, I think that this is the key. All the car makers are, of course, dealing with this topic and doing concrete steps on this sense with the concrete offers. But the point is, of course, to guarantee the privacy, the security of the data of the customers, and also to guarantee to develop the right value of the data for multiple stakeholders. So the customer, the car makers, but also the whole system of transportation stakeholders.
Thank you, Paula. Nitsan, do you have anything you'd like to share as well?
I wanted to say that I agree that a business model hasn't been found yet, or at least not a very good one, but it's something that is definitely, there's a lot of work done on it, and I see progress in that, and I do believe that in a few years, not a lot, we will see money coming out of data collected by the car, either inside the car or by the car in general, like even things like collecting information for weather or road conditions and things like that, like Tactile Mobility, a company that Porsche has invested in, and it can save money. It's an information that is worth money, and there will be found a way to make money out of it. And of course, privacy is an issue, but a lot of work is done into that. Companies like DID that found a way to anonymize the information without losing facial signs or emotions and things like that. That's one of the possible solutions for that problem. So you can get the information you need for training without violating GDPR. And where there is a need, there will be a solution. And that information is worth a lot of money.
Thank you, Nitsan. So I have one more question for the sake of time, and it's a big question, but I'd like to see if everyone can answer with one or two very, very short ideas. If you look 10 years in the future, what do you think the in-car experience will look like? And particularly, I'd like to ask you to say one or two things you think that people might think is a bit crazy, but that you think will happen. What's your wildest guess of it, whether it's going to be gestures or health or something? What do you think is one or two things that might sound crazy, but think in 10 years will be mainstream about the in-car experience? Craig, you want to start again? We can go around.
Sure. Well, you're asking that question that the farther out you go, the more crazy it gets, or the chance of it coming true becomes less and less. But I like the idea of your car being pretty much so self-contained. So you can send it out to pick up packages for you. You can send it out to pick up food. You can rent it out to somebody else for a part of a day. I like the idea of summoning your car and sending it away, which may, with that model, might limit the need for some of the new cars that would be used, because you're filling gaps and you can make money off that. And there's other things you can make money off of, as well as somebody had mentioned before. When your car drives around, you can collect data. You can collect data like open parking spots. You can collect data on at-the-minute traffic incidents. And so this data can be monetized one way or another in the future. But I see that in-car experience. I don't want to lose the driving experience. And the more we ride, the less we drive. Maybe we have to go to an old track that somebody's has kind of sold off, and take that track, and then we can have maybe condominiums there, and you can bring in your old 1995 Camaro and race it around that track, and that's kind of the only experience you'll have in the future. And people will make money off that as well. But I do like the idea of being more efficient and being more relaxed in the car. So I like it being more self-sufficient. I get in the car, I can do my work, I can sleep, I can eat, and that car needs to be able to, again, be commanded and summoned for me, and then be leased out when I'm not using it.
Thank you, Craig. Hey, Yaron, what's one or two ideas you would throw out?
Yeah, so to try to keep it in the in-cabin topic, I think personalization is a huge thing. It's only been started experimenting by the OEMs. And at this point, we're talking a lot about personalization that is basically based on offers and, statistics. So basically like a point of interest. It says, do you want to go to this place? So I would see in the next future, a car really deciding for you, not asking you anymore, but running your entire process and your entire day routine by personalizing everything to your needs. And also, of course, we're talking about the comfort and the music and the well-being within the cabin. Another key topic is the cognitive understanding of the driver. I think this is still in the very, very early stage. And I think in the next 10 years, we'll see a lot of understanding of what is the cognitive state of the driver and passengers beyond just their health and safety.
Thank you, Ron. Nilesh?
Yeah, I think this is one topic we currently been debating a lot. And in my opinion, the next 10 years, I clearly see the kind of the smartphone movement coming in the auto industry, that, when things were moving from Nokia, BlackBerry towards Apple, Apple is a phone like, so much of an experience, and which you can also use for talking, right? So currently the debate in the auto industry is, are we going to build experience in a car? And that's what, most of the traditional auto companies are thinking, that, hey, I have a car, I have a luxury car, and then how do I build the experience, and how do I build the next generation experience? And then there are so many new entrants into this industry who are building an experience. So the movement is that now people are building experience which can also move from place A to place B. Right? I see that the next 10 years, it will be a big, the game between the traditional automakers who will try build experience and the new companies who are building experience and say, okay, this experience can move from place A to place B. And there are plenty such examples which are currently been happening. So I think that's going to be a very interesting things which is going to be happening in the auto industry now. You're on mute, Jason, I think.
Please continue. You had an idea you were mentioning before.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is there's a lot of, as you call it, crazy ideas that will change the way we're seeing things in the future. But the main things are actually the not crazy. The things that will change our experience of driving a car are the things that we already know about, but I don't think most people realize how much it's going to affect how we drive the car. And I'm talking about electricity, which I guess Volkswagen Group invests billions in dollars in, and I guess the rest of the companies as well. And it will change the noise and the sensations of driving a car. And everyone knows it's coming, but most of us didn't really have a chance of sitting in a car when we're not concentrated in the road. And we can do whatever we want. And that will change the whole experience in a very fundamental way. And add to that things like the ability to darken the windows, being able to talk to your car in a natural language, and the car understands you and just do what you want. All of that will totally change the way driving a vehicle will feel and what we can do in that drive. And I think that would be the most fundamental change without having any flying cars or mind-reading cars. Just the basic things that changes experience.
Okay, thank you, Nitsan. So how about Paula and then Iain, if you give brief answers, and then we'll jump to the startup pitches.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just one short answer. To me, the big breakthrough in the next 10 years will be represented by the level 4 and 5 of autonomous driving. This is, to me, really a true breakthrough because, as was mentioned also before, really this would change the experience, the onboard experience. So it's not the driving experience, but it's the experience to stay on board and to be entertained, to be connected, to talk, to I don't know. So my mind, this is the true breakthrough.
Definitely, absolutely, it's a fundamental. So Iain, any final thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll try and do as briefly as possible. I think there's two big ideas that I see at the moment that aren't, let's say, outlandish, but are people are pushing for in interior sensing, but everyone is very skeptical about their uptake. One is especially contactless health monitoring. I see that would become quite mainstream in 10 years' time. And the other is the idea of mood and emotion. Today, if you go to a lot of OEMs, they'll say, yep, we want mood and emotion. And you go to them, okay, so what's the use case? What's the functionality? Well, you'll get blank stares. Everyone looks around the room, okay, maybe if the driver's sad, we're going to put on some love songs. So I don't think people really understand what mood and emotion is. But I recently saw that Amazon have announced that Alexa will begin to preempt users' requirements based on the question stream that they're receiving. And this level of artificial intelligence and predicting what a user really wants and needs, it's going to take a bit of time. It's going to be annoying at first. But that kind of level of AI and using things such as mood and emotion and cognitive load and an understanding of what's really going on inside the vehicle, I think that's going to really become a mainstream and a requirement for interior sensing going forward.
Thank you, Iain. Really fantastic insights. I wish we could talk much more. I'd love to ask you a lot more questions, but let's get to the startup pitches. We have 5 fantastic companies presenting. Our first one is here, Yaron from Continue. So Yaron, please unmute yourself and then you can share your screen and take it away. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you. I try to share my screen. Let me know if you...
Perfect.
Great.
So
I'm Yaron Hofstetter. Yeah, cheers. So I'm Yaron Hofstetter from Continuous Biometrics. A few words about Continuous Biometrics. It's a company that was founded about 5.5 years ago. We raised until now $27 million, and now we're in the mid of round C of investment. It's a joint project of 2 universities, of Barcelona University and Valencia University, Spain. And it's a deep tech. We have about 15 families of patents and almost 25 already registered. We are not just automotive company. We are also a medical device company. We are aiming to receive FDA in the next 2 to 3 months. We already submitted to the FDA, and the clearance will be received early next year. So we have 2 legs. One is automotive, and second one is medical. A few words about the technology. It's a solution that consists of a camera and a light source. It can be integrated also in the DMS solution. We have a special optics on top of the camera and on top of the light source. We have a special algorithm, and what we are extracting is very tiny movement. From those tiny movements, we can extract your vitals and much more than that. We are totally agnostic to the environment, which means if it's a day or night, if it's a amount of clothes that you're wearing, your complexion, skin color, if you wear masks, sunglasses, and so on, we are totally agnostic. Now I will show you a short example of what we can extract. So the first layer is a layer of vital signs. So here on the left, you can see the results from our sensor. On the right side, you can see a reference device. In this case, we're using ECG. So what we can extract is heart rate, is respiration, an interbit interval. Few of you are familiar with the heart rate variability, but the main component for calculate heart rate variability is interbit interval. And we are showing it in milliseconds. This is the resolution of our sensor, resolution and sensitivity of our sensor. So what can be done with the sensor after you extract the vital sign, which is the first layer? You can extract, for example, stress. You mentioned in the panel before about stress and so on. So we can extract stress. So here you can see an example. The white line or area is a calm drive, and the blue is a more stressed drive. And you can distinguish between the stress time drive and the calm drive. And each color of, if you look at the graph on the right, is a subject that we tested. Same idea can be done with related to thermal comfort. Why it's important, thermal comfort? First, for you want to control the environment, change the air condition, change the heating and cooling of the car automatically. For example, for electrical car, you want to reduce the battery consumption, and about 50% of the battery consumption related to heating and cooling of the car, so we can reduce it. A few words about our partners. We signed an agreement, a strategic agreement with Mercedes-Benz a year and a half ago to integrate our sensor in their future car. Just to summarize, so I skipped the healthcare, of course, part, but regarding automotive, you can divide it into 3 segments. One is driver safety, like stress and fatigue. Second layer is a passenger comfort, as I mentioned before. And the last example is maybe more futuristic, but few OEMs already talked with us about that, is about healthcare. We can monitor your day every day. while you're driving to work, from work to home, and vice versa, and detect if something changed in your health condition. And the idea is that we can alert, and it can be another revenue stream for the OEMs.
Thank you, Yaron. So let's jump into questions. Great presentation. Anybody would like to start? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start. You mentioned there about the Daimler, the Mercedes future vehicle. Is that has an SOP date, or it's still?
There's a date. Yeah.
Okay. The one that you can mention publicly or not?
Not really. Not at this
Fair enough.
But that's a date, yeah.
Let me then follow that up with your.
Nice try, Iain.
Yeah. Well, I'd offer you a beer after, but it's a bit hard in this environment. Let me ask you on the business model. You've got there Daimler, and you've got there some. I can't remember. There was some small, insignificant tier one, wasn't there? I can't remember. Yaron, what was it? Is your business model? You're going straight towards the OEM? Are you always working with a tier one? Are you working towards the OEM and then bring a tier one in? What's the model you're looking at, or what's the model you're seeing being pushed in the market towards you?
So it depends on the OEM and it depends on the T1. So for example, with one OEM that we signed, which I can't mention, we also share the data from the sensor. If you talked about, to give additional parameters in the future and additional services. So the idea that we share the data and we share the services. Same idea also with the T1. It depends on the commercial terms of and the negotiation of each party.
We have time for one more question.
Okay, just two quick questions. One, you need a sensor per person in the car, right? And the other one, how do you get the thermal comfort score? What do you put into that calculation?
Okay. Regarding, today we cover one subject or one driver. We are now working to cover two, the driver and the co-driver in one sensor. Regarding the second question, so it's related to two features that we have. One is IBI, interbit interval or heart rate variability, that we are using. And the second one is, it's called a blood perfusion. We can see the blood perfusion in your face, the movement of the blood cells in your face. And from that, we can have better information about your, if it's too hot or too cold, and what is the blood perfusion at your face. And from that, we can extract your comfort. So it's based on two parameters.
Okay. Thank you, Yaron. I know we sure have a lot of questions, but we are a little bit behind, so we want to keep moving. Thank you very much, Yaron, for joining us. So Adam from Christify, if you are here and can log on, you are up next.
Let's see
if Adam is joining us. We'll give him a few seconds. Let's see, Adam. All right, Uni from Ladino, and Adam will come back to you. If you are there, go to the speaker hub and log on in. Okay, we are back. I think we're still waiting for Adam. Here he is. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Adam, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Perfect. Yeah. So everyone, I'm Adam Feldman. I'm the CEO of Christify, and we we developed an air quality monitoring management system for the automotive and mobility sectors. During the presentation. Okay. So first of all, about the team, I'm coming from the automotive industry. I was the VP of Innovation and Strategy for a Tier 1 company. Yoad Lange, our CTO, coming from Intel, and Ori Koren, COO, coming from a previous startup as a CEO. So the first problem that we are tackling is the general air quality problem that you can find in the automotive and mobility space. So basically, people spend more and more time in heavy traffic, and when you look at clean countries like the US and most of Europe, even if you get to a very clean area, the most polluted place is on the highways, and especially inside the lanes. And although we feel that the car is a protective area, the air quality inside can be even worse than the outside because the air pollution is getting in and never gets out. And also we have things like chemicals or VOCs that emits from the interior of the cabin that from things like plastic resins, leather seats, things like that, that if you won't physically remove them, they will continue to hover inside the vehicle. The second issue that we tackle is, and it's especially important for in the coming years, it's the mobility as a service. So the number one complaint in car sharing and a major issue in car rental, it's bad odors inside the cabin. Most of the time because of something that the previous user done inside the vehicle, like smoking or litter it with waste. So it's a major issue in car sharing, especially because they do maintenance cycles every 7 days or 14 days, depending on the fleet and the geographic location. But it's also a major issue in car rental, especially in regular times before and after the COVID, hopefully very soon, where you have a high turnover station, like in airport station, where they can't do really a full maintenance cycles, and they do a very quick maintenance cycle and turn the car to the next user. Ride sharing is also a major issue, and especially now with COVID, when everybody wants to feel safer in those kind of services. So our first product that we are launching next week with Zipcar in the US is our IoT device, aftermarket installation, full plug-and-play device. You plug it inside the cabin, and it gives you an online dashboard with the metrics that fleets cares about, like air quality, but most of the time it's the odor level, cleanness level. We give real-time smoking alerts, so nobody can smoke in the car. We give COVID-19 infection risk level based on the metric that we are measuring, and obviously you can have reports and trends and to see what's going on inside a single car or in the whole fleet. The second product that we are working with OEMs and Tier 1s on is a full system that does the monitoring but also management. So we monitor the inside air quality, the outside air quality, and then we have our own algorithm that control a system in the car, like climate control system, window system, ionizers, odor diffusers, and other systems that has the ability to have an impact on the air quality inside the cabin. And basically, we maintain optimal air quality throughout the ride. So no matter where you are, it can be on the highway or on the main ways inside the cities or just in a good air quality area, we will maintain optimal air quality inside the cabin. So our partners, we have several American VCs. They invest in us, including Avi's Budget Group, which is a strategic partner of us. We have a big pipeline of fleets, of car sharing and car rental, mainly in Europe and in the US, but also in Asia. And we are working also with OEMs and Tier 1 on how to implement the system in new cars. Thank you.
May I ask you a question? I can. Okay, I
Yes.
would like to know which kind of data you need. I mean, you rely on data coming from sensors from the car, or data also from infrastructures or other kind of sources?
Yes. So today we install the sensor, but we can use a sensor that some of the car companies already have. So basically, we use data on air quality like PM. We use from 0.1 up to 10 microns. We use chemicals and CO2, NOx, temperature and humidity. We use also things that we get from like general information like type of road, what's the temperature outside, what's the weather outside, sun location, how much heat is it in the car, things like that. We also use from OEMs.
Thank you.
What kind of bad smells can you detect, and how do you fight it? How do you neutralize it?
How do we neutralize the pollutants?
The bad smell. You mentioned the bad smell, right? If you can detect it and neutralize it. Smoking, bad smells from rotten food, sweat, someone eating a shawarma in the car before you and leaving a heavy smell of sauce. What kind of bad smells can you detect?
So basically, what we are doing now when we talk about with fleets is basically to make sure that we have no odors. So it's not like we are doing segmentation of odors. The problem that they face is that they have a derogation of the cabin condition between maintenance cycles. So if they do maintenance cycles on Sunday and they don't maintain the car until the next Sunday, they don't really know what's going on inside the cabin, they get a lot of complaints about odors between those maintenance cycles. So we show them in data the level of the cabin condition between those cycles, but we don't really, today our product doesn't give indication about what kind of odor they have in the car.
Okay. You're on mute, Jason.
You're still on mute.
You're on mute.
You're still on mute.
You're on mute. Can't hear you.
You have a nice smile, though. Still can't hear you.
The battery is died on your earphones, I guess.
One more question, or? I'll have one quick question. When do you see your product rolling out in, I want to say, in significant volume? When do you see that being implemented by, let's say, the car rental companies or car share?
Yeah, so we are now starting rolling out with several fleets. So we believe that by Q2, we have a significant amount of cars in US and in Europe.
You're good. Oh, you can hear me. Oh, there you go. Okay, so after this question, we're moving to Uni from Ladimo. Not sure what happened there.
Okay, so it's very soon. Yeah, the next few months.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. So
thank you.
And again, now please introduce Uni from Ladimo, Finland. So here you go.
Hi.
So we're gonna. Adam. People ended the session. I can't believe it. Dwayne, you need to start again.
No, we're here.
Thanks.
Okay. So you will see the screen.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nilesh. Okay.
Yeah. Do you see the screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Here we go. Thank you for inviting to this. We are I'm a CEO of Larimo in Finland. We actually have the most accurate 3D sensor of the world to enable new applications. So coming to our value prop, we are 20 times more accurate than our competition, meaning mostly we are comparing ourselves to time-of-flight cameras. To give you an example of the applications or what we can do, we can actually measure heartbeat of the person from a 3-meter distance. We also have the modular and versatile business model. Basically, we are focusing on our core competencies in the algorithm, software, and mathematical modeling, and that's where we have all the patents. Just to give you an example of the customization, we can have customized several hardwares. We are not hardware company. We are working with the contract manufacturer, third-party contract manufacturers to provide the hardware for us. And especially in automotive industry, we need to work with tier 1 and OEMs because they are actually doing the hardware, embedding this sensor, whether it comes to the head-up display, whether it comes to the dashboard or back mirror. So here is a laser part, and here is a camera part. In this case, this is also planned because we are working also with Samsung as a pilot. It's suitable for even for mobile phone use. Anyway, for the future cockpit interior monitoring, we are actually working with Porsche AG in Germany. And I think it came out already, this health and wellness monitoring. We have pretty much similar capabilities to do authentication of the driver for a car, seat assessment, payments, etc., recognition of drivers, condition, gesture recognition as well. So we are actually working with one of the companies who is providing the gesture recognition. So there is a lot of things we can do. This is just another example. Actually, we also have the tools, the planning tools for the OEMs or for the tier 1s. This is we call it virtualizer, because this virtualizer is kind of planning tool, but it's also the virtualizing. So it will help to generate big data for the neural network for AI learnings. This is our team, myself, my background, Nokia mobile phones, applications, etc. So we are pretty small team. We are 9 people. We are established 2015. We have in advisory board, we have a very much heavy duty on consumer electronic space and some NVIDIA technology people as well. What comes to our investment funding, we are actually looking for funding. We are looking for CVC. We are looking for partnering. We are looking for more pilots, especially with the tier 1s and OEMs. We've been funded here in Finland. We also got the grant from EU. So we have been funded roughly by 3 million. We are looking another funding round now early this year. As an overall, we can provide the sensor, we can provide the applications, and this is basically a solution for mobile phones, TV, robotics, and especially here we talk about automotive. Thank you.
Thank you, Yaron. Open it up to the panelists. Any questions?
May I ask a question? Please. Sorry. In particular, regarding health and wellness monitoring, I didn't catch if you are offering also the algorithm, so the software, not just the hardware.
Okay. No, for the automotive industry, we are offering the software. We have the 2 different models. One is a standalone product model. The other one is a licensing model for software. So in automotive case and in consumer electronics space, we are offering the license for the algorithms, etc.
Thank you.
And then, sorry, just to go on that, then there's IP in the hardware, or?
IP is not in the hardware, but we had to build the hardware to be able to show what we can do. So IP is in the software. It's in the algorithm, mathematical modeling, etc. So it's based on our CTO. 7-8 years ago, he was working as a lecturer in Auti University. He made this innovation. And since that, we've been established a couple of years. After that, we established a company, and here we go.
So you could use an off-the-shelf TOF camera, and then it's your software? Sorry, Yaron.
Yeah, we are actually using all the camera components, the laser components, DOE, collimation, etc. They are standard stuff, but there are certain requirements, obviously, and there are not every laser company who can do that. What we can provide the license, but we also need to provide the plan for the hardware, the requirements for the hardware, because there are certain we are relying on a regular pattern of laser point cloud, where we have the laser point cloud, and then we have also the RGB camera. We can add RGB camera information on top of the point cloud, and our point cloud is far more accurate than anybody else, I can say.
Yaron, a quick question.
Yeah, I was waiting patiently. The way I see it, your strongest competition is not off camera. It's companies like Airy 3D and Pixie who are turning a 2D imaging camera into a 3D using a layer of hardware and software. And that's a very, very, I would say, cost-efficient solution for in-cabin. How do you see that compared to your solution?
Yeah. It is because we are basically the components what we are using, and there is quite a beauty to work also as a POC, as a pilot for Samsung phone, because we are always relying on the components which are used in the mobile phone already. So we know that the cost size, price-wise, pretty efficient, and some companies we can provide the sensor which will do all the calculations. We can use NVIDIA or now we are porting that to Samsung platform. So I know that Samsung is coming to the car industry as well. So we are utilizing that. Somebody told already that there will be in a future we can have our sensor independently, have the wires going to the centralized computer, and in centralized computer you can do all the calculations. But we can provide the standalone product also. By the way, we are working with robotics companies as well. So that's why we have this kind of flexible kind of model to build the system.
I need to stop there for the sake of time. Thank you very much, and please feel free. Hopefully, everyone will be able to connect afterwards as well. So, you can leave the session, and Elena from Echo. Are you in backstage, ready to come on? So let's wait a minute for Elena.
I think she joined us, but at least I can't hear anything.
Elena, are you there? Let's wait a second. We have Elena. We also have Sunil from Airlink. So both of you can come on. Elena, here you go.
Hey, hello there. I'm doing fine. Thank you very much.
You made it. Fantastic. So Elena, I'll pass it over to you to screen share and take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just... Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and having me here today. My name is Elena Pasquale and I'm EcoSteer CEO. Economy today is monopolistic and centralized. From a technical point of view, it means that the platforms we share our data with have exclusive control over its access from third parties. EcoSteer decentralizes the data economy by technically applying the data ownership principle established by the GDPR. Our data ownership platform is a data sharing governance overlay network that works with any data brokering platform and decentralizes data access control, putting it into the hands of the legitimate rightful data owners. It does it through two key mechanisms: end-to-end data encryption and smart contracts. Data is encrypted at its source, for example, telematics or one of the wonderful sensors that we've seen today. And it crosses the data brokering platform still encrypted, and it can only be decrypted by the stakeholders' application after explicit consent from the data owner is given through a smart contract. In addition to decentralizing the data economy, we want to distribute it by allowing corporations to create their own data exchange hubs, their own data streams marketplaces, where customers can exchange data with their business partners in compliance with the GDPR and with a rewarding experience. Marketplaces will be different, but they will all share two key features. The data owners will have visibility and control over third-party access. So they will be able to grant access to each single party and to revoke it at any time. And they will be compensated in tokens for data sharing, tokens that they will be able to spend on the marketplace. So, for example, my driving data could be worth 1 token per day, and with 50 tokens, I might decide to buy a discounted insurance policy. We've already got tractions in the mobility and the energy sectors and key partnerships with system integrators such as PwC and HPE. Our reference markets are data monetization and data access control. But actually our technology is complementary to both technologies in this space. First of all, current data marketplaces, though, of course, honest brokers, are technically based on centralized solutions. So they would benefit from a data access control decentralization layer. And digital right management solutions implement data vaults where they preserve data sets. So, our solution controls access to live data streams, and digital right management solutions could be, positioned on the right of this equation. We're a small team, but we bring together all skills required to start up a company. And our data ownership platform has been granted a US patent just 2 months after the filing. So we're extremely proud of it. And we're seeking business and financial partners to build together a new decentralized data economy. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Elena. I'll pass it on to our panelists for any questions.
Yep. Thank you.
Elena, can you elaborate a bit on how you anonymize the data?
We don't anonymize the data. As a matter of fact, I've got quite a strong opinion about the data anonymization, which is pretty much that is impossible, but we can talk about it some other time. We don't anonymize the data because the consent to use the data is freely given and unilaterally revoked by the data owner. So it is data that, like any data generated by a device, can be, of course, connected to its data source, and its access is exclusively controlled by the data owner. The data brokering platform is completely disintermediated.
And when you say data owner, you mean the client?
I mean the customer. I mean GDPR terms. I mean the data subject. So the driver, as we are talking about cars, the citizen, generally speaking, the homeowner, the patient. So But it could also be a company, of course. So you could imagine this as a scenario to share, as a solution to share corporate data with business partners, for example, to manage the supply chain.
All right, thank you. Do we have one more question? Okay, thank you very much, Elena. Obviously, everyone feel free to connect afterwards and follow up. So now let's move on to our final startup. We have Sunil from Airlink.
Jason, I do have another commitment, so I've got to go. But I appreciate it, and I will follow up with everybody.
Okay, thank you, Craig, for joining us, and everyone feel free to reach out to Craig through the platform.
Yep, thanks.
All right, so whenever you are ready, you can screen share and take it away. You're muted. We see your screen, but you're still muted. So if you can see where you had muted beforehand. That's interesting.
That's a nice effect.
Yeah.
Into infinity and beyond.
Exactly. Perhaps log out and come back in if you can't fix it right now, but you should have the mute button on the bottom left. We still can't hear you. Do you want to just log out quickly and come back in? Let's try that. Sometimes that will fix everything. Okay. And I'd like to remind everyone watching after this, we're going to have a virtual random networking session. So right after this, we're going to have an opportunity to go to your schedule. And from there, you can click join virtual random networking. For 5 minutes, we're going to have a bunch of random networking sessions, have a chance to meet all the different participants here. We have nearly 200 participants that have joined us from all over the world in various capacities, from the OEM, the tier 1 tech and startups. And obviously, as I mentioned before, feel free to reach out directly to people you think are relevant business connections to the platform. You can request meetings, chat, and really use this point as this event, hopefully, as a great starting point for new business connections. So let's see if Sunil, hopefully, will come back on with his audio this time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Perfect.
Perfect. So let me try to share now. It's solving one problem at a time.
There we go. Let's see if we can be 2 for 2, audio and video. Yes, your screen is shared, so open up your presentation. If you can make it full screen.
Let me do that now. Is that okay?
If you can click the full screen button, yeah, there we go. Take it away, Sunil, please.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you very much. I've been listening to all the presentations, and I think it was very interesting to hear the panelists over here. So very privileged to be here, to be presenting here. My name is Sunil Kaul, and I'm the co-founder of Airlink. Just to give you a brief introduction into what we do, I was told to keep it short of 4 minutes. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer also of Airlink, so I pitch to my customers every time, but it's always been more than 4 minutes. But I have a benchmark that if the customer doesn't understand your pitch in 4 minutes, you're wasting your time. So towards that end, I will just give you some brief introduction about Airlink first. We provide connected car solutions. We provide connectivity as well as data pass-through, and I'll explain what that means to OEMs. We work with General Motors. We work with Daimler, Docomo. And we also provide our horizontal platform to mobile operators. We have mobile operators, our customers, for example, Verizon in US, Claro, which is American Mobile across South America and Europe. Reliance Jio, which is the largest mobile operator in India, and STC in Middle East. They use our platform as a horizontal platform. But as a vertical in the company, and since we are a small startup company, we focus on one vertical, which is transportation. We work around 50 million devices that we are working on, but those are as we go on taking them live. But in terms of business, we have signed 26 million plus contracts with our customers that range from telcos to OEMs that are just listed over there. You know the market size much better than I do, so I will not talk about it. We have 21 patents that have been awarded and 84 that are pending, and we provide solutions across 180 countries. This is mostly about connectivity. What do we do? In short, we are working on shaping the ecosystems of the future. I heard a lot of panelists and also other startup companies, data monetization. There is no data monetization unless you build the ecosystem. And the ecosystem depends on what you want to be. I also heard that many panelists said that data monetization has not achieved what they really wanted to achieve. And well, one of the subjects we're going to talk about is something that the previous speaker talked about is JD Power and how 4% of increase in quality has been happening over the years and how the information that is attained regarding the machine or the components is helping them to achieve that data. And we'll go through that. And last but not the least, there's a convergence that needs to happen. And we are working with OEMs on that, which is how to take your selling experience or how do you take your automotive ecosystem and combine it with the consumer digital strategy? And it's something that, what you call technically as digital transformation that many OEMs are working on. A lot of experimentation has happened in this space, and we are actually doing a few proof of concepts, and I will explain that as we go in. Digital mobility ecosystem, as we work with OEMs, we provide them, we connect them with mobile operators, we connect them with ecosystem partners, which could range from insurance companies to first responders, and we see how this ecosystem will evolve. The best thing about this whole solution is it's evolving. I know there was a question about what will happen in 10 years. That's fantastic thing about this. There are a lot of unknowns, and we're exploring as we work with more and more OEMs in this space. What does our platform do? We provide, as I said, we provide global connectivity management, which is managing the network part of it, which is managing the subscription management, mobile operator orchestration, which means a car company can launch 10 countries today. They may launch another 5 countries tomorrow. How do you orchestrate from the same platform? Split billing, I think a lot of you know split billing means it's about doing the consumer as well as the enterprise billing from the same connectivity that you have. So, and then we extend
you can wrap it up just so we make sure we have time for questions.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So the two components that we have a cloud-based solution where we do the ecosystem in the backend, and we have the edge-based solution, which is the software that goes onto the TCU or ECU and allows the ability to do compression, V2X, and other personalization. For example, how do you identify the driver? How do you share the driver information across the driver? For example, when you drive your Toyota, you drive your Honda, how do you get the information from the cloud who you are? I'll go quickly. And the last part is we converge that with connected consumer solution. The ecosystem definition has expanded, which means how do I connect dealers? How do I connect the rental companies? More and more OEMs are looking at more and more options. For example, the lease may be 11 months, for example, or subscription models. The dealers are not the best players to provide subscription. It's rental companies. So our ecosystem definition expands beyond the in-car experience to actually your selling experience as well. And that's what we actually work with OEMs going forward with some of the ones I listed. This is the experience that you go, your selling experience through the ecosystem. How do we create the ecosystem with insurance companies, finance companies, dealers, and the rental companies? And that's the complete side of it. And then how do you take this retail experience, the consumer selling experience, how to digitize the whole thing? Again, the digitization does not happen unless you build the ecosystem with dealers, the rental companies, insurance companies, and the banks and everybody else. So those are some of the things that we're working on. in partnership with our customers that I just spoke about. I will stop here and happy to answer any questions that you may have with me.
Thank you very much. So I'll pass it on to our panelists. Do you have any questions for Sunil from Airlink?
Do you see your main target customers as directly to the OEM brand? Is it more towards the dealer network and infrastructure? I didn't quite understand the model there.
Our model is to work with OEMs because, as I said, when you talk about the connected consumer strategy or what is called a selling experience or digitization, that experience the OEMs want to own. So it actually, we looked at it. I think it's a very good question because you can come from here, coming from the dealer network, integrating and then going to OEMs and integrating. We're coming from the OEM side of it, where OEMs can own this experience. You can buy a car, you can lease a car, you can buy a subscription model. They can use the ecosystem partner to connect you with that and actually have the complete experience digitized. So to answer your question in short, we work with OEMs directly because in the long run, we see them owning the digital experience.
Thank you, Sunil. Okay. So how about one of our OEMs, Nitsan or Paula, if you have any questions or comments?
I have to say, I'm not totally sure I understood what exactly you're offering. In one of the slides, you talked about coverage and choosing the right network and for connectivity and seamless transfer from one API to the other, and then you talked about digital showroom. So I'm not sure, are you installed in the car and deal with connectivity, or are you outside of the car and giving digital experience?
So the good news is we're both inside the car and outside the car. So the edge component that I was talking about resides inside the car, and there's a cloud. So it's a hybrid solution, which is combination of edge as well as in the cloud. I think to answer your specific question is what do we do? It's the same when we say API. So when you build the ecosystem, whether you build a dealer ecosystem or you build the ecosystem of enterprise like insurance company or others, is the same API way of getting connected with these enterprises. So we use the same infrastructure, we use the same experience of building the in-car experience and actually saying, okay, I can now extend this ecosystem to dealers, to rental companies, to other insurance companies, not to just the monetization of the data that is generated, but digitization of the whole experience, both selling as well as in-car experience.
Sorry.
Thank
you. Just to give one simple example, if the OEMs share this data with their dealers or to their suppliers, which is the parts where, so the warranty, if you just look at the warranty related business model, that can save billions of dollars. Imagine a dealer gets information about your car a couple of days before you get your car to the dealer and it requires a replacement of a part. Normally you leave your car and it's there for a couple of days. They can get the part before you actually get in and reduce the time from 4 days to 4 hours. That reduces the cost significantly for the dealers or whoever does the repair. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Sunil. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap it up. We are running a bit behind. Thank you very much, Sunil. Thank you to our panelists, to Iain, to Paula, to Nitsan, Yaron, to Craig, and Nilesh, who had to leave. And thank you to all of our attendees. I apologize for running late, but I have to tell you, we had so much to talk about. We had so many great pitches. Thank you for staying with us. Now we're going to have after this session, if you go to your schedule, we're going to have a virtual random networking session. Log in there, have a chance to meet with other attendees. The platform will be open for the next 3 hours. So if you want to do any additional networking, contacting people, setting up meetings, feel free to do so. You can also download the event booklet as well as a link to our in-car experience report. I want to say a huge thank you to all of the startups that presented earlier, all of the other panelists we had earlier today, to our sponsors, to DLA Piper, IBEX Investors, and to Cobra Kim. And of course, thanks to the Access team, to Ed Frank, our CEO, for being behind all of our great initiatives. A huge thanks to Dorina Kanina, who wasn't on video, but has been instrumental in making this event happen, putting on all the logistics, the platform, and so much more. A huge thanks to that. So without further ado, we'll end this session and head to the networking. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope it was beneficial. Look forward to hearing your feedbacks and seeing you at one of our next events. We have a telco event next month called the Telecom Edition on December 8th. And then we have Mobility Pioneer in January, Access Tel Aviv in March, all going to be virtual. So we invite everyone to find out more information and join that. And we look forward to collaborating again in the future. Have a great day, evening, and morning.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.